Jose, are you okay? You haven't reviewed a game in a while. Okay, one that was fun and entertaining.
I don't know, my motivation is just right now.
I got something to help.
Oh. Nope, not helping. I need motivation. I need good food. I need good games, not something furry.
I got this.
Ow. Fur fighters? What did I just say?
Disc isn't furry.
What's up, everybody? And if you haven't guessed, we're playing Fur Fighters today. This is one of those games I saw in my local game store and remembered it from my childhood. Mainly a Dreamcast demo disc of all things. It was and still is the only demo disc I owned. It had games like Sonic Adventure, Tony Hawk, and Rayman 2 on it. Yet Fur Fighters always stood out to me. Not sure how, but I think it's because I always died in the demo. Yeah, it seems to be a recurring theme on this show. Either way, I think it's time to actually check out the full game. This is Fur Fighters. Before starting the game, we're given the choice to choose our character. Each of the Fur Fighters have a special ability that they can use, along with some biography info like their location and age, which I can only hope is their respective animal age. A 5-year-old should not be shooting a gun, any less holding it. It doesn't really matter which character we choose at the moment, so just choose whoever you like. The cutscene that follows shows us the home of the Fur Fighters and their daily activities, such as sleeping, surfboard waxing, art sculpting, and abusive relationships. Then suddenly, an army approaches with a helicopter that sprays the entire village with what I can only assume is knockout gas. We then meet the main villain, General Vigo, who says he's returned and is getting his revenge against the Fur Fighters. Though instead of killing them, General Vigo decides to kidnap their families as assurance they won't chase him. Yeah, that backfires and the Fur Fighters agree to go after Vigo and save their families. It's a good setup, but I do have a couple of comments. Who are the Fur Fighters? Who is General Vigo? What did the Fur Fighters do to him? Why not just kill them? Why is Bungalow, the kangaroo, part of the team? He doesn't even know what's going on. And why are you giving a dragon who's less than a day old a gun? That's worse than the 5-year-old, and all this dude says is his name. Okay, my only real complaint is General Vigo not killing them and giving the day-year-old a gun. But let's see if everything else is explained in the manual. Well, it basically says General Vigo is evil and wants world domination. The Fur Fighters put him away, and now he wants revenge. Okay, I really didn't expect that much, but I'm still slightly disappointed. Wonder if it says anything about Bungalow and why he's part of the team. It just says that he's best friends with the dog Rufus, and that he can jump. Yay! Alright, now that the cutscene is over, we are thrown into the tutorial level with the Ghost General Walrus as our guide. Did I really just say that? The first thing that we learn are the controls, and oh god, these controls are bad. Jumping and shooting isn't hard, they're bind to the left and right triggers respectively. But you know the modern FPS control scheme? The one where the left analog stick moves you forward, backwards, and strafes your character, while the right analog stick controls your camera? Okay, now reverse that, so left does what the right one does and vice versa. Now because the Dreamcast doesn't have a right analog stick, replace it with the face buttons. Yeah, it just feels so weird to control. There are 3 other preset control schemes that you can switch to, but they're not any better. It takes a while to adapt to these controls, and if you don't, you'll die rather quickly. Thankfully, you don't have to be super precise about aiming. There are a large variety of weapons that you get throughout the adventure. Submachine guns, rocket launcher, bomb launchers, plasma blasters, freeze rays, you know, the standard weaponry for any furry animal. Most of them you just need to aim in the general direction of the enemy. The manual gives advice that getting a headshot causes more damage to an enemy, but it is difficult not only to see the reticle, but aiming is a bitch during firefights. Try and you will die. After the tutorial, we're tossed into the first stage, New Quack City. There are about 6 stages overall with 3 levels and a boss level in each of them. The main objective of the game is to collect the Fur Fighters' children throughout the levels. But since they have been raised well, that is literally the excuse they use in the game, they can only be gathered by their respective family members. After you gather enough of them, you'll be able to enter the boss level. Then you'll be able to move to a new stage once you beat them. the kids aren't exactly that easy to find, and if they are, it's gonna be hard to reach them. Even the lazy baby dragons. Your brother is no more than a day old, and he can glide and use a gun. How old are you guys anyways? You know what? Never mind, let's get back to the game. Fur Fighters is a mix of a shooter, puzzle, platformer. You'll have to use all of the Fur Fighter's specific skills to save the children. Rufus can dig at certain spots, Juliet the cat can climb, Rico the penguin can swim, Tweak the dragon can glide, Chang the firefox can fit in small spaces, and Bungalow can jump extremely high, though he's not sure why until someone tells him it's cause he's a kangaroo. Freaking dumbass. The game does a good job of creating simple and at times intriguing puzzles that require specific fur fighters. Even though you can only play as one fur fighter at a time, there are teleporters with a specific fur fighter's face on them that are placed throughout the level. These allow you to switch between characters with ease. Whenever a puzzle needs a specific character, that character's teleporter usually is nearby. There are even a few times that the puzzle can have multiple solutions. Not only do I like the level's puzzles, but I also like the level's artistic designs. A majority of the time, the visuals look good for a Dreamcast game, and the music all complement the levels very well. The levels are all pretty distinctive from each other, and yet they still work with the stage's overall theme. New Quack City has museums filled with giant diamonds, the street of New York, Quack City, and the Quack Trade Center. The game was pre-2000s. The Beaver Dam stage has of course a dam level, a quarry, and a construction zone. The game doesn't really take itself too seriously other than the intro and ending. There's an entire stage about giant dinosaurs who act like people. It's not just the stage. You literally have to climb up a bathtub, enter a dinosaur's head, shoot its brain, and glide out of its nostrils just to get a baby dragon sitting on a scented candle. Alright, I don't know about it being scented, but I like to think these dinosaurs like to be classy. I mean, look at this guy. He's got a sweet cane. The game also sometimes gives off a satire feeling and makes a bunch of references to movies and other genres. Fighting an alien in space? Wait, a copyright lawyer shows up to stop it from happening, though he has some other details to discuss with you, basically kill you. Either way, say hello to the mini-boss, 31st Century Fox. Alright, I do have a problem with the levels despite their great puzzle designs and presentation. The levels are too damn big! Alright, a better explanation is that it's boring to travel from one puzzle to the next. It takes so much time to travel between them with almost nothing to do except shoot enemies. It's the lack of enemy variety that just makes it uninteresting. There are a few minigames in between, but those are quick, forgettable, and can be a pain in the ass at times. There's nothing else between the puzzles. Even if you know where the babies are, it can take about an hour just to finish a level, with the majority of that time just wandering. There are the occasional mini-bosses that do make it slightly interesting, but those are dull simply gameplay-wise. In fact, most of the boss fights are dull. Bosses should be grand, intense, fun, a spectacle, or even challenging. These bosses are none of those. They are just big or big and ugly versions of the Fur Fighters family members. Even Rico says, "Whoa! No, you should not have said that. Run away, you're dead." Oh wait, never mind, boss fight done. The bosses and mini-bosses can easily be defeated by just shooting them in a specific weak point, or just constantly shooting them. The only boss that is interesting and fun is the final boss, a 3-phase boss fight that incorporates shooting, a little bit of tactics, and using all of the Fur Fighters' abilities in order to win. I do recommend playing Fur Fighters, just once though, no more. Remember when I said,
even if you know where the babies are, it can take about an hour just to finish a level, with the majority of that time just wandering.
Yeah, that was from experience. Due to technical difficulties, I had to replay this game 3 bloody times. Each time was more boring than the last. Remember, you'll need to collect a certain amount of children in order to open the boss stage. Though you'll never know how many are needed unless you visit the boss area, which I didn't. So I just picked up every single baby I could. Eventually there was a point where I was just done with the game and found out that I didn't even need to play through 2 levels of the second to last stage. So I just skipped them, went to the boss, beat it, and continue on. You're also picking up gold tokens to enter levels, but I never had a problem with those and had more than enough to finish the game. It's difficult not to compare this game to Donkey Kong 64, due to that game's multiple characters, collectathon aspect, and the platforming gameplay. Every time I had to replay Fur Fighters, I was just wondering why I'm not playing Donkey Kong 64. It's a better game. Even the characters had so much more personality in Donkey Kong 64. Each of their moves, their actions in the character selection screen, and even their actions in the intro show a lot more character than the ones in Fur Fighters. Fur Fighters' characters all roughly play the same except for their special moves. They only show a bit of personality during cutscenes, but those are usually shown before and after boss fights. This is one of those games you probably should have rented back when you could actually rent Dreamcast games. I don't recommend the Dreamcast version now. It has glitches that sometimes make it impossible to continue. Okay, so to get to this stage, I need to give 2 items to this bug thing at the gate. I gave him 1, but nothing else happened. Alright, watch me back up and try to talk with him again. Nothing. And again. And again. And okay, god damn it, man! Finally he took it. Just had to run into him in order to continue. I have not played the PS2 version of the game, Fur Fighters Viggo's Revenge, but from what I've been reading on reviews, that's the one you should pick up if you can find it for a decent price. Most of the criticism of it was that it was a simple remake of the Dreamcast game with some small changes, such as adding a full voice cast, a single new level, fixing some glitches, and has cel-shaded graphics, which might make it easier to see underwater sections of the game. Not sure if it was just my monitors, but it was especially hard to see during those parts. Like I said, haven't played it, but you might as well pick up the PS2 version instead.